freaking first cut. Golly.
Welcome to the First Cut Podcast. I'm Rick Gehman, and this is your round 2 recap for this week's Valspar Championship. And joining me to break it all down, it's Greg DuCharme. And Greg, this is an all-time First Cut leaderboard that we have here. Matthew NeSmith, Adam Hadwin, Scott Stalling, Sam Burns, Justin Thomas. We couldn't have scripted this one any better.
I have a question for you, Rick. Do you think, in your opinion, are we unbiased on the show in general?
When we want to be.
I think.
When we have to be, we are.
When we should be, right?
When we should be, yes.
Now, I think we've accumulated a record that's strong enough to be unbiased. And I think you would say, in general, that we don't have overly biased takes. We're pretty... We tell it like it is for the most part. We have our favorites.
Yes.
And I'm going to take that opportunity, a little bit of the equity we've built, and say, yes, this is awesome. This is exactly what we signed up for. I'm so fired up. We got Adam Hadwin back in the ring. Matthew NeSmith in the ring. He's the next Tom Hoagie. I am so fired up about this. And Adam Hadwin is back in my good graces. He's back. I denounced him a few weeks ago. It's about I think it's the 1-year anniversary of when I, revealed my Adam Hadwin fandom, and I denounced him, and he's back. He's done enough, and I'm just so happy. I'm so excited.
He's back, baby, and while he's near the top of the leaderboard, he is not at the top of the leaderboard, because that is Matthew NeSmith at 14 under par. And Greg, I'm looking at the PGA Tour leaderboard. This looks like a typo. That says 10 under 61 in round 2. Not only the round of the day by 5 shots, 4 shots, 5 shots, the round of the week by 3 shots. This was absolutely dialed in. He went out in 30, the front 9. He played that first. He played the back 9 first, went out in 31, came in 30. It was just an unbelievable display of golf out there.
It was very nearly 29 as well. But Rick, he gained 9.4 shots on the field today.
Wow.
Just today. I mean, that is so good. He did everything well, but my favorite aspect of what Matthew NeSmith has done is he's doing it with his strength, right? His best attribute on the PGA Tour is by far strokes gained approach the green. He's 38th on tour in that mark. And this week he's first. He gained 4.7 today. Well, yesterday he gained 3.2. So he's already gained in the first 2 rounds, 8 strokes approaching the green. And this is his best attribute, and it's showing up this week. It's beautiful to watch. I mean, he's got that nice compact golf swing. It's really something special. And he's been a popper in his career. And he reminds me of Tom Hoagie. Like he's a favorite underdog, long shot, a favorite 6K guy who has an asset that he's very good at. I wouldn't call him elite. Tom Hoagie's an elite iron player. He's not quite there yet, but I think in a year or two, Matthew NeSmith could be right where Tom Hoagie is right now.
What did you say? He gained 9.47 in this second round. Is that right?
Total. Right. 9.49.
That is the second best round of the season by any golfer. Believe it or not, the only round better this season was Scott Stallings, who's in contention here in round 4 of the Butterfield Bermuda Championship. He gained 9.
Wow, I remember that round.
Remember that? Yeah, he went
in the crazy wind.
Yeah, he went absolutely nuts. So that is, we are on the short list, and I love the fact that the other guy who's got the better round is just 3 shots back. But let's focus on NeSmith here for a second, because you're right, Greg. We talk about him a lot on Mondays. He's now going to be in the heat of the battle, right? It's 36 to go. It's a 2-shot lead. He's going to be feeling things that he doesn't get to feel often. What's the staying power for a guy like NeSmith at the top of this board?
Well, the golf swing and the ball striking helps a lot, right? The model so far, while he's putted well, and that's how you shoot 61. He was 5th today in strokes gained putting. That's the good day, right? But the beauty of NeSmith is it doesn't have to be a good day for it to work. So I am optimistic. I'm optimistic. But look, this is a different ball game. This goes past the model. It goes past the statistics, and it goes into what's inside. Now, the one thing I will say is he is a player who came out from the Korn Ferry Tour in Scotty Scheffler's group. And I believe, I should have looked this up before, I believe he won the Korn Ferry Tour in the regular season that year, the year Scotty Scheffler won in the finals. So he is a very accomplished player. He is very capable of winning out on the PGA Tour. And it feels like he's very comfortable where he is. Now, he said, look, whatever happens, happens. If I go shoot 75, if I go play great, it doesn't change anything. I get in the car with my wife and go home. He said all that, which sounds nice. It sounds loose, but though that's not the way that that winners typically speak. So that gives me a little bit of concern, but I love the game. I love his game. And that's why we were high on him coming into the week. It's for this reason. And things are looking good. But I don't think I'll put it to you this way. It's not quite, well, the real lead's at 11 under or 12 under, but it's I definitely could foresee a little bit of backtracking by NeSmith tomorrow.
67, 61, 14 under par. His closest chaser, Adam Hadwin, past champion, got off to a slow start here, Greg. He went out and only 1 under, and then he made birdies at 10, 11, 12. That's a streak. And then another on 16 to shoot a 66. We talked about this on Monday. He has found tangible gains in his approach play since the start of the new year. He addressed it in his post-round interview. You combine that with the putter and the fact that he's won around here before. This is a guy who got everything to click this week. We got 36 to go, but I really like the way Adam Hadwin's chances stack up.
Yeah, he looks really good. And he's a little different than NeSmith, where NeSmith has this unbelievable ball striking round, unbelievable tee to green round. Well, Hadwin's kind of more along he's in the middle kind of, he was 15th today off the tee, which is great. He gained a stroke off the tee, and that's something he had been a little hit or miss with leading into this event. So it's nice to see that uptick. He was 35th approaching the green. I mean, he's only gained 3 shots approaching the green, which is 14th. That's very good, but it's not like world beater. It's not like, oh, that was one great hot round. And he was 43rd in strokes gained putting today. It wasn't an extremely hot day with the putter. So I'm looking at Adam Hadwin right now as a guy that's playing very well, but he's not playing out of his mind. This is something that is very repeatable. It's something that's very sustainable. And his game as a whole seems to be strong in every area. And when you put a guy like that, who's confident, who's been building confidence, and he knows that he's going in the right direction with his game, and now all of a sudden he's on a golf course that he loves, he better love it, and then he is in great shape heading into the weekend. So yeah, he's definitely the name that I have circled on this leaderboard right now.
I would certainly say he loves it. Hadwin alone at 12 under par. 2 names at 11 under. Scott Stallings, who we chatted about briefly, and the defending champion, Sam Burns. And speaking of slow starts here, Greg, Burns goes out on number 10, makes par there, and then makes bogey on the par 5 11th. He was able to get not 1, but 2 back on 14 when he made eagle, and then 3 under on his second 9. And Viktor Hovland did it to you by defending his title earlier this season. Sam Burns trying to break the Greg DuCharme system of how difficult it is to defend a championship.
Yeah, it does happen. So, and he could very well do it. I really like where he's sitting right now, and I really like the way he's played, and he's clearly comfortable on the golf course. My system is really just it's a rule that I live by, and I don't say you have to live by it. It just, it rules a guy out for me when I'm trying to make these decisions. We got a whole list of guys in this DFS pool, and when you can rule out past champions, and it helps a little bit. But all kidding aside, he is looking great right now. The ball striking today was, it was a little shaky off the tee, and it leveled out a little bit with his iron play. He led the field yesterday. So that kind of evened out but he's still able to get a score. He's still able to put a score together. And this is what separates Sam Burns from a NeSmith or an Adam Hadwin or a generic player on the PGA Tour like Scott Stallings. It's when you don't have your best stuff, when you don't have that great round, you still go out and shoot 67. You find a way to make it happen. And that's the kind of talent, the kind of firepower we're dealing with in Sam Burns. And you look at this board, you look at the guys on the top of this board, and aside from Adam Hadwin, who I'm extremely biased in saying he's a superstar, and I'm kidding. This is the guy with the most firepower. The first name you get to where you say, whoa, Sam Burns is here. Watch out.
We'll have to make a pact. If Scott Stallings wins this week, we will find a new generic PGA Tour.
I'm totally in on that.
All right, we're in on that. If Scott Stallings wins, we'll find somebody else. Little check-in on our stars, and you don't have to go far to find Justin Thomas. And Greg, while it looks in the box score like back-to-back 66s, they were pretty different. JT finally found the putter a little bit on Friday.
Yes, which was quite nice. He all of a sudden gains 2.8 strokes on the field, which was 8th for the day in putt-in. It's leading to a positive week so far on the greens. When he gets it going, it's a really good sign. He doesn't have to, but he does. And this round was really a lot better. It was a lot better than it looked, not only because of the putting, but he also made a late double bogey. He got out of position off the tee, out of position again on his approach, left it in the bunker, ends up making a double bogey. This could have been this could have been 64 or lower if it weren't for that late mistake. So again, Justin Thomas, very similar here to Sam Burns, where these are the stars that don't have their best day hitting the ball, and yet they're able to find a way to shoot a number and circle a 66 on the card instead of a 71. And today he was able to do it with the putting, where yesterday it was his MO, right? He drove it great. He led the field, strokes gained tee to green. He was second approaching the green behind only Sam Burns. But he didn't really have an excellent putting day. Could have been a lot lower. Well, today he didn't hit it nearly as well. He was 40th approaching the green. He was 21st off the tee. He was 33rd tee to green, but he's 8th in putting. And so he figures out how to shoot a score, and that's why these guys are stars.
One more name, the story that I'm here for, Webb Simpson, back-to-back 67s, 8 under par. That's 6 off the lead. And Greg, we had the neck injury that sidelined him for a while. He came back to the Players Championship, did not play particularly well there, gets to a better course for him. And here we go. He's in contention. He's T7 heading into the weekend. First and foremost, we're hopeful that Webb Simpson continues to stay healthy and play a lot of great golf, but this is kind of out of nowhere.
In a way, yeah, it is. It hasn't been great. This is the thing about Webb. It's been ever since. 2020 was a great year for him. Arguably his second best season on the PGA Tour. And then last year, he was never able to get into a rhythm. You mentioned the health. He only played until the playoffs. He only played back-to-back events at the Masters and the RBC Heritage. He missed events in North Carolina. He talked about early in the season how there was a stretch where he'd be able to drive to like 3 events, and he missed them all. And I think that really hurt his chances last year. Although he was able to make it reasonable, it wasn't the Webb Simpson we were hoping to see. Now this year, it's been much of the same early, but I like the fact heading into the week that he played in the Players, and he was playing the very next week at a golf course that suits him well, and now he's in contention. And I got to tell you something here, Rick. I just started. I haven't been a big social media guy in my day, and I just started a TikTok. And so find me over there. TikTok, yeah, Greg DuCharme Golf. And I did one today as I was doing my prep for this show. Webb Simpson was my guy looking at the board because he is the guy that's back. You're what, 8? He's at 8 under. So he's 6 shots back, which is a long ways. But of the guys in that category, there aren't a lot of proven winners. You do have Sam Burns and Justin Thomas, but other than that, there's a lot of guys that haven't proved it yet. Webb Simpson's a guy that's proved it, and he makes a ton of birdies, 19th on tour in birdie average in a year that hasn't been great. And he also is second in third round scoring. and 18th and 4th round scoring. So I think the weekend could be very good to Webb Simpson. If it gets a little blustery in the afternoon tomorrow, it could make it tough for the leaders. And I think Webb has the firepower to come back in this thing.
All right, speaking of coming back in this thing, I want to take a look at the odds board and see how our friends over at Caesars Sportsbook are dealing at the halfway point of the Valspar Championship. But first, we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners. And we're back. Even being 4 shots back, Greg, Justin Thomas is indeed the favorite over at Caesars. He's plus 350 with Sam Burns right behind at plus 400. And your actual leader, Matt NeSmith, 2 shots clear of the rest of the field, 5-1 with Adam Hadwin, who is his closest chaser. Those are the only 4 golfers shorter than 16-1, Greg. We can get into some other names later, but those are the 4 that Caesars is saying the winner's likely to come out of this group.
Yeah, and that's fair. I mean, NeSmith has built a sizable and notable lead. Hadwin's right there behind him. And Justin Thomas, coming off a double bogey, has got himself in contention. And then you have a defending champion there. So they all have their reasons for being there. And because NeSmith and Hadwin have that lead, they're going in with an advantage. And then right behind them, you have the star power, the firepower, the guys on this leaderboard that you're looking over your shoulder at in Thomas and Burns. And it looks like the prediction right now, or at least the most of the money is on Thomas and Burns, and understandably so. So look, those 4 are really interesting. The hope is you already had some action on these guys heading into the week, especially Adam Hadwin. Hopefully I mean, we've talked about him at length all week long. So hopefully you had him, and if you got a ticket on NeSmith, you're pretty happy, and there's no need to re-up right now. So I don't think any of those guys are in a category where I want to go down that path at this point. Hopefully you already did.
Yeah, I'm holding a 58-1 ticket on Adam Hadwin, but even if I wasn't, I'm not sure any of these numbers are really bettable. I don't think I'd love to bet on Thomas or Burns at short odds, or trust NeSmith or Hadwin at 5-1. I think the guy still might be, like, if I wanted to make a bet, if I needed to make a bet, Webb 6 back, 4 off of second, 25-1. I think that's probably the most interesting. But the big name here, Greg, is Xander at 16. Is the likely outcome for Xander just that he shoots 2 more 67s, finishes T4? Like, when's the last time we saw a ceiling round from Xander? Like, the last one that I actually remember is when he barnstormed Gary Woodland at the Tournament of Champions.
Right. And that's the last time he won, except for the Olympics. So he has a couple of interesting scenarios. He's a great player. As we know, he's incredibly consistent, incredibly steady, and he's shown that this week. I mean, he was the guy that I looked at on this board that was like the safest play of all to play well, but not to win. Now, that being said, he is in a category. He's in a place now where he's not challenging the thing that's been most difficult for him, which is playing with the lead, playing in the final group, being the leader heading into a tournament is something that is plagued Xander. He's had his struggles. He's got some scar tissue in those situations. But sitting where he is now, it might be a great opportunity to actually play him. He's not my favorite looking down. I mean, Webb Simpson's my favorite for tonight, as we talked about before. But Xander's really interesting because like you said, Rick, we haven't seen that ceiling round, and that could mean he's due. And he will go out tomorrow without a whole lot of pressure, and it could happen tomorrow or Sunday. So I don't hate Xander at all.
It's a gift and a curse to have a floor as high as Xander's, but a ceiling that he rarely taps into. It's a bunch of top tens, a bunch of money, a bunch of OWGR points, and not so many victories. We'll see if he can knock that trend in the final 2 rounds here at the Valspar. And we'll be back after each round to break it all down. But for now, let me give a big thanks to producer Jacob. Does all the hard work behind the scenes. That right there, Greg DuCharme, who you can find on Twitter at @TheRealGFT and on TikTok, Greg DuCharme Golf. How about that? We'll get you some followers over there. You can find me at Rick Run Good. This has been The First Cut, and we'll catch you next time.